analysis complete.
Good. Now then. Allow me to set the stage. Warm rays shine on the dark jungles of Isla Nublar. Within its shade, a bloody wraith prowls for its next meal. The Indominus 2.0 steps from the dark brush, her nostrils flaring as she sniffs the air. She hunts for her latest victims, a herd of hadrosaurs, their tracks leading her to these swamplands. Not keen to let such promising prey escape, she prowls the riverside for their scent. The murky water lies still as glass, disturbed only by the ripple of dragonflies across its surface. She stops. Along the water's edge, she spots her quarry. Or what's left of it. Along the muddy bank of the river, the spoiling carcass of the hadrosaur laid in ruin. Bite marks riddled its hide, limbs missing from jagged stumps, splintered bone punching through exposed muscle. The 2.0 narrows her eyes and sniffs deeply. She scans the bank. She knows something is here. Nearby, a titan stirs. Barbarosuchus, codename Riktor, rests along the jungle floor, digesting his most recent meal. His eyes open as he feels the tread of footsteps along the ground. Though he cannot see them, the sound of ruffling leaves and the tremors in the water tell him they are very, very close. His jaws begin to open with the growing tension of a hunter's trap. Motionless, he waits. The footsteps get closer. 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 As the 2.0 investigates the riverbank, curiosity clashes with caution, her cunning mind struggling to imagine this new quarry. Nothing short of a creature such as herself was capable of such butchery. The scent was strong now, as her tracks faded into the leafy litter of the dense, dark jungle. She studied the tree line, watching for any signs of movement, anticipation growing as her massive claws scythe through the air, hungering for prey to carve into. Whatever was here, it must have... Gaping jaws exploded from the bush as the Indominus reels back with a roar, her anger flaring with alarm. Quickly, she pivots, narrowly sidestepping the figure of a massive crocodile. The claws of her left hand scraping against its armored muzzle as its jaws snap mere inches from her, crashing to the ground. Despite their size, both creatures regained their footing in mere moments, facing their challenger. Neither had seen a creature like the other. Neither was backing down. The 2.0 roared, rearing up to her full height, claws and crimson fangs fully bared. Riktor bellowed and hissed, his tusked maw agape, ready for the next bite, while his tail swept back and forth with a rhythmic sway. The 2.0 lunges forward with a practiced bloodlust. Riktor tenses as the 2.0 closes the distance. As her jaw widens, he lunges. Jaws fully extended. Another fierce swipe from the 2.0 slams into the side of Riktor's head, his bite missing as she sidesteps the attack before slamming into his body. Her jaws clasp into the back of Riktor's neck as her claws scrape along his armor, searching for a purchase. Riktor thrashes in anger, trying to turn his head to snap at the Indominus as she tries to wrestle the great beast into the ground. Despite the thick armor, the 2.0 continues to clamp down harder and harder, unrelenting as sharp spines cut at her lips, blood and foul muck coating her teeth, but she does not stop. Spines slash against her skin, but she does not stop. She has the advantage, uncaring The 2.0 shrieked in alarm as pain flared in her calf, her leg buckling as if she had been struck by the force of a falling tree, the teeth of another predator punching into her muscle. She staggered back in retreat as Riktor turned to face her, jaws snapping, but too slow to catch her. Regaining her footing, the 2.0 reanalyzes her approach. If she can reach his underbelly, she can gut him, just like she did with the other ankylosaurs. The two creatures continue to circle each other, Riktor hissing loudly, blood trickling from his scales. Keeping his body low, Riktor keeps his head locked on the circling 2.0. With a roar, she charges again, but Riktor intercepts, lunging forward, only to be met with open air. Her bluff successful, the 2.0 charges in low to the ground before slamming into Riktor's shoulder, her massive claws swiping upward into his vulnerable flanks. They scrape against thorny osteoderms, but the weak armor gives as warm blood trickles onto her skin. Riktor hisses in pain as the 2.0 heaves with all her strength, trying to topple the great monster. Try as she might, the great crocodile doesn't budge, his claws digging deep into the earth, still thrashing at her attempt, jaws snapping in defiance. She can feel her back begin to ache, as if she was trying to move a boulder, too low and too heavy, even for her. As Riktor forces his jaws closer and closer, the 2.0 slams her claws down on his muzzle, trying to keep it closed. Enraged, Riktor swings his head like a living sledgehammer, crashing into the 2.0's shoulder, tusks slashing and stabbing at her thick hide. Unable to press her attack, she pushes off of Riktor's body, narrowly avoiding another swing of the tail, her breathing ragged with effort, frustration growing. Hunger and rage driving her on as blood leaks from numerous cuts and slashes across her hide. Her instincts scream for the death of this creature. Suddenly, the 2.0 stops. Her mood changed before she strides back into the jungle. Riktor bellows, but does not follow. He watches the tree line, unwilling to turn away, but seeing nothing. Minutes pass. The air filled with nothing but the sound of birds and falling leaves. Riktor remains low, his back to the river. Still, he waits, and waits, and waits. And suddenly the ground shakes with great power as Riktor turns to see a shimmering green figure explode from the jungle. Riktor turned to face the attacker before a sharp pain exploded in his lower back, tearing into him. The 2.0 pressed the mangled metal fencing deep into Riktor's muscle, her makeshift spear crumpling in her own grip before snapping, the edge still embedded in his armor. Riktor staggered, blood pooling from the split osteoderms and exposed muscle. The 2.0 wasted no time, her jaws wildly gnashing at the bloody sight while massive claws tried to dig into the armored flanks with newfound frenzy. Riktor tilted his armored frame before slamming his bulk into the Indominus, spines raking against her chest and battered forearm. Their strength depleting, both wrestled for control, trying to get the upper hand. The 2.0 ducked low, aiming to wrap her jaws around Riktor's back leg, ready to crush it, before another swing of his mighty tail cracked her across the skull. The 2.0 cried out, reeling from the blow, blood gushing from half a dozen new cuts across her face. Riktor turned to face the stunned 2.0 as she regained her footing, still shaking from the impact. Her roars filled with incredible rage as her heart pounded, her blood boiled. She had to kill it. She had to kill it now. Its armor broken, its life bleeding away. She charges, senses running mad. This was the turning point. This was the end. This was a mistake. Riktor exploded forward, huge limbs tearing up the earth with each savage step. The two were going to collide faster than the 2.0 realized. She desperately turned as his rock-hard muzzle narrowly passed her flank before the 2.0 crashed to the earth in a flailing heap, her bashed leg fully buckled from the collision with the monster's massive head. She struggled to right herself, her vision blurry, breath quick. Before she could stand, bone-crushing agony flared through her being. She screamed to the sound of her femur snapping between Riktor's jaws, her foot claws wildly raking at his face as he began to turn. Panic flooded her cries as she pulled desperately to free herself, but Riktor continued to turn and turn, rolling until the leg came free with a wet tear. The 2.0 howled in pain, falling to the earth, her leg a fountain of gory ruin. She heaved deeply as shock began to overcome her body, her senses fading, her life slipping away. She screamed just once as that monster's jaw unhinged. Her bones popped and crunched under unbelievable pressure as sword-like tusks dug deep into her flesh. With great heaves of his powerful neck, Riktor pulled the dying 2.0 towards the river's edge, blood already filling into the serene waters. Her limp claws dragged across the mud. The last thing she saw as the light left her eyes was the reflection of the jungle trees rippling above the surface.